Hello there, good morning. It's 15th of July 2021. It's 11:15 here in the morning, and I've been playing around with art for the last couple of hours. The one that you've just seen there is something I started yesterday, and I used a mixture of watercolours, the Zig Clean Colour Real Brush Pens, and then Tombow markers. I've got a bit of a quandary, and I drew with grey ink on there, and the grey ink disappears into the colour. They're Unipin pens. They're water permanent or water fast, water resistant, and they don't stand out as much as black does. And here I'm just starting to add colour, or continue adding colour to the template I drew yesterday, with Tombow pens that I've put down on a piece of white plastic, and I'm using a waterbrush to pick it up. So I thought I'd spend some time adding colour to the template with traditional media, and it's been really fun to use the Tombows, as I'm just putting down simple gradients or just areas of colour, because in my head I got the idea I wanted to add texture with fine liners and perhaps metallics or other kinds of pens, white pens afterwards. But it's just something different, and I have them in my stash, and it's a change from watercolour, because as you know, I do tend to struggle with watercolour. It vexes me. I can't settle on a way I like to work with it. But so the real colour pens, when I threw my coffee everywhere the other day, I didn't realise they'd gone into the tin they were in. They were on the floor by my desk, because I'd been popped them there last time I used them and forgot them to put them away properly. So when I picked them up to use yesterday, they were all icky, smelly, and I thought, what's going on here? And then I remembered what I'd done, and I had a look, and the coffee had gone down the caps and into the pens. So I wasn't going to try and clean them and salvage them. In no way was that going to happen. They are a few years old. Some of them are dry. So it's time to let them go. So I did some colouring of that little drawing with them, and then not a lot, because I discovered this. And then I thought, right, okay, let's get the Tombows out, the Tombow Dual Brush Pens, and use those, which I did a bit of yesterday evening, but I thought I'd carry on this morning. And yeah, I spent about 2 hours. I did record adding texture and so on, but it would have made the video so long. I mean, it's over 2 hours of recording this morning. It's how long I've been sat here playing around with colour. And at the end of it all, I'm really not very sure of whether I'm happy with what I've produced or not. Yeah, it's colour choice. And I know I'd have been better off going monochrome. I just know it. And I'd have been happier. But it is what it is. It gave me a chance to use a medium on the Imagine paper, the Canson Imagine mixed media paper, and to try some things out. And it also means that I'm in a bit of a quandary, because my Tombow dual brush pens are older than the Zigs, I think, and some of them are beginning to dry out, and the nibs are becoming crusty. I did discover that if I dip them in water, I can sort of like rejuvenate them a bit, but for how long I don't know. So I'm tempted to buy a new set. But then I'm thinking, well, how often am I going to use them? Because they're not the cheapest in the world. They are on offer, or there's some sets on Amazon for about £130 off at the moment, but they're still over £200 for a full set. And I do like to have a full set of colours, even though I may not use them all. But it's working out which colours I use the most. And part of me thinks, well, let's stop here. Let's get open stock and work out what colours I would use. And you can bet I do that, and I'll want loads of the others, and I want the full set kind of thing. They do blend nicely. I can go back and add other colours on the top and create gradients and so on. But this morning, me and my brush skills, we just weren't working together very well. And so yeah, so that's all of this. I do get quite a bit of this done, not a huge amount. And as far as colours go and colouring skills and so on, digital art is my superpower, I think. Yeah, unless I'm doing monochrome. And of course with digital art I can create a coloured background. I could have done that here, because if I wasn't doing this for a colouring template, if this was personal work, I could have chosen to colour the paper before I draw with distress inks, for example, and then worked on top of that so the paper wasn't white. And that way I would have chosen colours that would have worked with that background. Or I could have used watercolour paper and created one of these wet in wet kind of backgrounds, or a gradient in some way, and worked with that. So I'm my own worst enemy at times, because I think, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. And I look and I think, what were you thinking, Angela? Well, the answer is I wasn't. But even then, I've enjoyed what I've done. It's been relaxing because there's no pressure on me to create something that has to go into a book or has to be sold, or not that I sell a lot of my art. That's a different story entirely. It's just something that I can just do for fun. I'm a bit in limbo at the moment because I'd like to get the whimsical cats done before I focus on another project that I need to start soon. Not a colouring book, something else, something commissioned. And but my head needs to be in a different space for that. And I know if I try to work on too many different things, I can get confused and things get confuddled and don't work out right. So I need to try to focus on one project at a time to keep things coherent and cohesive. So I'm waiting for the choices of the templates to be coloured in to come to me. Hopefully it'll be really soon and I can focus on that and get that done in a week or so. So for now I'm just taking the time to go some breathing space. And today especially, because it's 21 degrees here. It's mostly sunny. There are some clouds, but it's really warm in the window. And I'll want to go downstairs soon. And I can take my sketchbooks and a drawing board or whatever downstairs with me. But I haven't got an area really where downstairs I can sit and at a table and work with good enough light. Just take the time up for other things. It's just continuing here, adding colours and seeing what happens, and just going back and just intensifying colours there. Yeah. I don't often sell my art because I don't. It's something I sometimes consider doing, but I'm not very good at marketing and promoting myself, that's for sure. But it's something that my mind is ticking over, and it's sort of like, it's not something that I have to do now today. I do have an Etsy shop where I have mainly digital art on sale. They haven't got any physical art anymore, I don't think. I have sold some art through there in the past, but now I've got the added problems of Brexit and tax laws and everything else that just makes it so much more difficult to sell to other countries. But digital art is a lot easier to deal with in many ways. So something I want to look at. I do have a Redbubble shop, and that is something, again, that I need to take some time to look at and to work out what kinds of things would look really cool on products like t-shirts or art prints and so on. Even things like skins for desktops and tablets and phone cases and what have you, down to even pencil cases and books, notebooks. Go for that if the notebook paper's really nice. I could have my own notebooks or sketchbooks with my own designs on the outside, but maybe not, I don't know. They even do stickers and all sorts of things. And I do have an account at Vida as well, though I haven't done anything with that for so long. But it's something that I could look into, but it involves promoting myself a lot more, promoting my art a lot more. It's not something that comes easily or naturally to me. And it's a right, I don't know what I describe it as, but to me it doesn't look, as I'm looking at it here and now, I'm thinking, actually, it's not that bad, really. But I think I get to this point with colouring where I really do get disheartened when I add colour. I think, what was I thinking? Unless I keep it monochrome or analogous. Monochrome is basically one colour, and analogous are up to about 5 colours that are next to each other on the colour wheel. So very similar. So it might be blues and purples and magentas, or blues and greens and yellows, those kinds of colours, ones, or yellowy greens. So ones that are really close together, because they work harmoniously, naturally. And I have a tendency to go for complementary colours, which are opposite on the colour wheel, which they really, really do make each other look a lot brighter. But yeah. So I'm just wittering here. It's sort of like, it is what it is. As you can see here, I chose to add colour direct from the pen onto the paper because I wanted that darker colour there. And in some ways, that's really what I ought to have done in other areas. But I've got those flatter colours, which I was going to go, I did go back with some fine liners, but it didn't work out the way I wanted to. So I used them with water to wash the colour out to increase the tones. White ink, white pens, and some metallic gold, and a glitter gel pen worked really nicely. I haven't shown you this bit. I've still got the video, but I'm not. This will just end up being just so long, but I'm doing a voiceover, so it doesn't matter really. Here, part of me wishes with this one I'd put yellow down first and just little bits of orange, but again, it is what it is. I like orangey yellows rather than just orange like this. And I went for a dark blue around the edges, which is actually quite nice. So I kept that one fairly monochrome. The orange, complementary colour of blue. So they look bright against each other. And then the blues are sort of monochrome almost. Just all shades of blue. So there we are. I'll take a photograph of the one that I've added colour and texture to for my social media posts on my blog and Instagram, Twitter, so you can have a look and see how I've added the gold and the white and some extra colour rather than adding it here, because I'm not entirely sure, and I've got to get my head round some bits to see what I can do to improve on matters. Here, that pinky peachy colour that I create is lovely, but that pinky bit in the middle wasn't dark enough, and I lose a lot of it in the other sections, because I quite liked that, the pinky colour, pinky orangey colour fading into the golden yellow, but I couldn't remember which of the Tombow colours that pinky peachy colour was, or whether it was one I'd mixed last night. I can't remember. so I couldn't replicate it exactly, so I left it as it was. And then it's sort of like thinking, oh, what colours do I put behind? Oh, I know. I used a very yellowy green there. It's very similar to one side of the leaf shape, so I used some darker colour just to add some shades, and that changed it just enough. But it was nice. And I did the same thing where I used the actual pen then in these areas, that yellowy green pen, and blended it out with a water brush. And used that darker green then to add some shadow and depth to it, and variation, so it wasn't just one colour. I actually quite enjoy that section there. I quite like it. Unusual colours for me, unusual colour combinations, but in some ways I prefer that little bit to many of the other areas. Again, you know, it's, even though I'm not happy overall with what I've done, at the end of it all, I've decided that I made the determination before I even started that I was going to just see what happens and try things out. And the worst thing that happens is I've got a piece of paper that ends up in my sketchbook with notes on. It's the original drawing, but it doesn't matter because I've scanned it in. So I've got a copy of it for eternity, as it were, digitally, well, as long as I can access it. And if I printed it out, because I've got a laser printer, I can't print on art papers, so that's something I need to look into as well eventually, because I'm coming up to the point where I'll need a new cartridge for my laser printer. And it's not a lot more to get an inkjet printer these days, so it may be that I'll consider that and see what I know what I would like. There's Epsom Do inks that are basically not quite very water resistant, on the point of waterproof, very black, and that would suit me completely. And you can get ones that are eco tanks as well, so tons of ink and without so much plastic waste, which is brilliant. But again, it's something I'll look into and decide. The laser printer was a good idea, but I'm finding that there are often times now where I'd like to be able to print things out. This is the last section I did, and pinks and purples, and it's very vibrant and very in your face, but it's actually quite a nice colour combination. So there we are. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on this journey and my intense wittering today. Please take care. Look after yourselves. Find time to be creative in your day, whatever creativity means for you, and just enjoy what you do. Don't put pressure on yourself to achieve something. I'm terrible for doing that. But I try to do things where I try not to. And this is an example of one of those, is that trying not to put pressure on myself, just trying to enjoy the process, rather than creating something that's a very polished piece of work, like the sample colour, digitally coloured one I did yesterday. May not be complete, but it is what it is. It's digital art, and I love digital art. It takes me just as long to do as it does traditional. So anyway, whatever is creative for you, be it colouring, drawing, baking, gardening, knitting, crocheting, sewing, woodworking, there's a whole host of things. Just take time to do what you enjoy and just relax. And hopefully I'll see you back again. Take care now. Bye-bye.